Itt látod az időt, meg a... Nem tudom.
All right. So good. All right. So welcome everyone. My name is Benedek Farkas, and my co-host is Zoltán Lehóczky. We are from Lehóczky Technologies. Probably you've seen, you know. Anyway, so we're going to talk about one of our projects we did this year for one of our clients. It's a Canadian company, and the website is called Media Kitty. It's kind of a cute name. So let's see what will happen today. So table of contents, very shortly. I'm going to talk about what happened during the development of the project. So what happened is that we built an Orchard site from the ground up, based on Orchard 1.9. And Zoltán is then going to talk about what happened at the beginning or before the development, and what happened when the site went live, and what happened after that. So, Media Kitty is owned by a Canadian company called eMedia Management. They are a PR agency, and the website is for connecting PR people all over the world. So one of the common use cases is that, let's say you have a hotel and you have a new kind of suite in your hotel, and you would like journalists and bloggers from all over the world to come to your hotel and blog about what you do and what happened to your hotel. So then you put up a posting and an invitation, and then people can respond to that and see what happens after that. Right now the website has 18,000 users. Of course, the concurrent users is a bit less than that, because the website is going on for a very long time. So some users just disappear, but a lot of new ones come in, and there are 19,000 postings. So we are dealing with a lot of content items here. The legacy website was operating for more than 10 years. It was built using VB.net a long time ago. And when we did the switch from the legacy website to the new one based on Orchard, the new one was still operational. It was still fully operational with a lot of users, a lot of new content. So yeah, we had to live up to that expectation. So the specialties of this project, very shortly. Usually in Lombic we deal with other software development teams. We talk to other software development teams, so we kind of speak the same languages, including C#. And in this case, we are dealing with a team of non-technical people like PR and marketing people. And there's communication problems between technical and non-technical people, of course. But we found that Basecamp is a great tool for communicating between teams that are not actually very closely working together. So it is user-friendly. There are discussions and to-do lists. So it's really user-friendly for normal people. But it's still efficient enough for a software development team to communicate. And for a very long time, all of our projects were led as a lead developer by Zoltán or myself. And this is the biggest project in Lombic that wasn't led by us. It was led by one of our senior developers, and he did an awesome job, as you will see just a little bit later. So that was all the talking, or actually I will still talk, but let's see what the website does. So let's take a demo. Okay, what happened? Duplicate. Para ver la ayuda, pulse el botón. Okay, cool. So I don't have.
Stop expanding your desktop.
No, I did duplicate.
Close this thing.
How do I close this thing? If I have no idea what.
This was kind of the point of the presentation.
Yes. Goodbye. All right. So actually, this is what I want to show you first. So this is the homepage, home page for some of you, and so yeah, this is a this is a huge layout page. So yeah, I already explained Sipka that we made great use of the layouts module. As you can see, we have some navigation here, a registration widget. This is going to be a projection later on. It's just HTML right now, but we have some dev code that is not deployed yet. And of course, this is just my local instance. HTML. We have projections and then another projection. So just very shortly, I'm going to show you how it looks like as a layout page. If it loads, probably it went out of app pool. So in the meanwhile, I'm just going to register a new user. So let's say harvest user 3 at mediakitty.com. No. And for the password, the safest one is always password. So upon registration, we will be presented with this page. So an important aspect of this website is that there are subscription packages. Technically, what happens is that we have a structure of content items that are called packages. Package is a subscription package, so it defines what kind of interactions you can make with the website. In reality, what happens is that there are user roles associated with the subscriptions. So one user can have one subscription, and it can assign multiple roles to the user. So we can create smaller roles and assign more of them to different subscriptions. And we will see why it's interesting a little bit later. So let's say I have this new user. I want to subscribe to the most expensive package. So what happens now is that I am subscribed to the Ultimate subscription. We have a trial mode for 2 weeks. And the first interesting thing is the user profile, because by default, out of the box, Orchard doesn't really support a nice user profile. You can attach fields to the user part, or any other part, and attach it to the user content type. But you can't really make the users edit their own user profile by default. Well, you can, but it's kind of hackish. There are modules to support it, but we needed a very, very extended user profile. Actually, a little quick poll. How many of you have developed a content editor, for example, and used editor groups? Some people never heard of it, I think. Only one, okay, and you did too, I guess. But anyway, so what we have here is we have these 4 tabs here. This is just a simple navigation. Let's say I go to basic profile, and I have some fields. I can upload a picture. I will show you how that works later. This is a Google API-based location editor. So let's say I am in Alicante. It's for some reason it's displaying in Hungarian, but when I click on it, it will be Alacant, which is Catalonian, I assume. Windows messes up with the localization things. So let's say I'm a PR pro. I will write some bio and save it. So this is just one part of the user profile editor. If you click on portfolio and social, there's going to be some taxonomies here. No, that's another tab. So we have some other fields. You can add a website like, come on, lombik.com, and save it. Just some default stuff, and extended profile. So what happens is that these are all the user editor basically, but divided into different groups. And I will show you something really cool we did with Orchard a bit later, where it's much more apparent. But yeah, this is an interesting feature of Orchard. So if you want to display a content item or display the editor of a content item, you can break it up into separate parts. So there's a very simple syntax for that in the placement, for example, and we will see that a bit later. But what's more interesting here is subscription and billing. So we have developed a module for Braintree payments. Braintree is a payment provider for credit card and online payments, and they are actually owned by PayPal. So they are part of the PayPal ecosystem, but working a bit separately. So there are a few things you can do here. There's change package, so I can go back to the pricing page and change another package. I can get accredited, which is just some custom business logic in MediaKitty. That means that I come to the website and I say, okay, I don't want to pay, but I will do some work for you, like make a lot of postings, do a lot of PR stuff. So it's kind of a sponsored membership. And another interesting thing is billing. So this is basically the credit card information editor here. So this is all secure information stored in Braintree. So I will just type some dummy data. Alicante. Okay, we are okay with United States. And some credit card details. So right now, my local instance is set up to use a sandbox environment because Braintree has, the live environment, and you can choose to connect to the sandbox. And we're going to enter the sandbox details and choose some valid expiration date, and that's it. So if I hit submit, it will be sent to Braintree, and the new subscriber will be created. So customer details are successfully updated. So what happens is that I have provided my credit card details. My trial is still going on. And what happens in this case is that if I leave it like this, 2 weeks will pass, and then I will get automatically subscribed to this package. Or I can just choose to buy now. And what will happen is that Braintree will try to get the money from my account, and apparently for the sandbox environment it was successful. So yeah, that's what happened. I'm not subscribed. So let's go on to some other features. Let's go to the feed. So the feed is basically the central, a very central part of the website. We have actually 4 projections here and all the postings. So these are the posting content items, and these are actually taxonomy terms. So we have, for postings, we have one content type and one type of taxonomy, which is posting type with 6 terms. And what we do is that we have dynamic permissions related to each taxonomy term of the posting type. So we can say that this kind of subscription package, or actually this user role, which is assigned to a subscription package, can, for example, see all the pitch, invite, and request type, but can't post them. And so, yeah, this is like a custom permission implementation. We have 2 permissions for editing and viewing. That's all we actually needed. We didn't need separately like delete and view on and stuff like that. So yeah, this is also some custom development. And so let's see what the feed is about. As I said, we have all the different kind of postings. As you can see, we can look at the users. So let's say I like what this user is doing, and what I can do is follow him. So what happens, follow him or her. So what happens is that I will get subscribed to all the content that this user is posting. So if I go to followed, I will see all the postings that were created by this user. So as you can see, I am subscribed to Harvest User 1. And if I go back to the feed, on the activity tab, I can mark as followed or liked postings like this. So it's just one click of button. It's async, and as you can see, here's the user actually created this posting, and here's the unfollow button because I already followed him or her. And if I go to my likes, it will appear here. So what happens here is that we have 4 projections. We have some custom projection filters, and that's it. It's pretty simple. We also have search. Not actually the same kind of solution as Sebastian showed us yesterday. It's based on also custom filters. So let's say I only want to see like requests. So what happens is that we have another filter that checks if the postings has the request type, and then show only those. So that's pretty much all about postings, except that let's say I am interested in this particular posting, test request 2. It's very interesting, and the description is really beautiful. So what I can do is respond to this request. This is another module that we have built for this customer, which is called private messaging. So what we can do is respond to this request, and what we did is that it's very similar to the structure of the media types, where you have media part. So when you attach the media part to a content type, it will behave like a media. So it will be available for the media library. We did something very similar, and actually that's the same case for menu item types. We did something similar. We have private message part, and you can create multiple types of private message types. So what happens is that in this case, we have normal private messages. So users can send direct private messages directly to each other, or they can send a posting reply. So posting reply is a different type of private message, and it has one more field, which is the actual posting. So when they are replying to a posting, they will know which posting we are talking about because it stores that information. And this is the posting that I wanted to reply to. So I just say cool stuff, and that's it. We will send it now. And I think, yeah, I will log into that user. It was harvest user 2, I think. So if I log in, and yeah, I will see that I have a new message in my inbox, as you can see. So if I click on my inbox, I see this message. I click on read, then this little mark disappears because I already read this message, and I can just reply back and send it. So that's a pretty neat feature because it allows direct communication between users, which is also not quite supported out of the box. So the next thing we are going to talk about is we're going to do some administration stuff. So what I wanted to show you earlier is the layout on the beginning. So we will check out the MediaKitty landing page. So as you know, as Sipka described yesterday, the layouts feature gives you a great tool for customizing how a page looks like. And this is the home page. So as you can see, we have some HTML. Well, most of it is HTML. You can display shapes inside these elements, and HTML, a lot of custom styling. Because so the design was also provided by a Canadian company, another one who do user experience and web design, and we built the whole team based on that using the pretty good Bootstrap-based team. So it's all responsive, of course. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a pretty huge one, but getting the styling right was a lot more work because it's very, very highly customized. So. As I mentioned before, we have some custom projection filters, or actually query filters. We have some projection pages which are displayed as the feed. We are using a lot of search and indexing. So as I showed you earlier, there's free text search. Of course, I haven't shown that, but I'm sure you would believe me that there's free text search. Besides taxonomies, we intend to extend the searching functionalities specifically to other posting properties. So that's a future development. We use the media library a lot, of course. So this is the administrator user, and what I can do is go to my profile and edit my account. So let's say I want to update a profile picture, so I just go to my desktop, select this image, and it will appear here. I said it will appear. Yeah, so what happens here is that we have developed a content field, which is called Media Library Upload field. This is very similar to Media Library Picker field, but you can upload an image from your computer. So right now, the permission management for the media library is basically 1 bit. You can manage media library or not. And this is not really great for thousands of users. Because we can't give them permission, to manage each other's stuff. So what we did is that we restricted media management to only uploading your own images. It will be put into a separate folder, and if you upload some images, or actually, I can save this one, and then it will appear in my profile. I can upload more images, and as you can see, it almost looks like the same as a media library picker field because it's basically an extension to that. Not technically, we had to copy paste it, unfortunately, at least parts of it. But I can upload more images and reorder them, and in this case, the first one will be used as your profile picture. So if I go back to my profile, it will show up there. So we've talked about what kind of content types we had, but we haven't seen how to create a posting, so let's do that. Let's say I want to create an invitation, an invite. So these are all the invite items in the system. I will say post invite. So headline is, no, that's spoiler alert. I will say orchard harvest 2015 Alicante, and blah, 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 So let's say continue. So this is also one content type editor, but broken into 3 separate parts, which is write, target, and enhance. We have some taxonomies on this one. I will just select a few of them. I will say Alicante here as well, because why not? We are there. And at the Enhance tab, there are other media library upload fields, so I can upload a headline image. So I will just do that. It's on my desktop. I stole it from the website. And some visuals. Actually, Firefox is sometimes taking some breaks, and I will upload a few funny images I took yesterday. So I will just say publish. So what happens is that when I'm posting this form, these images will be uploaded, and as you can see, this item has been created. So if I go back, and I can, of course, not only when editing it, but when displaying it, I can break it into different parts. So I have these images and sources. This is kind of another content type in the system, which is called company. This is still in development. We have some dev code that is under testing right now, but you can add companies to the system, which means that if you are working, for example, for Coca-Cola, you can post postings and mark Coca-Cola as your employer, so other people will know if they are searching for something related to Coca-Cola, they will know how to find it. And if this will also be searchable, of course. So if I go back to invite, I will see a summary of this item. We are in Alicante. I have selected some taxonomies. This is the user, created this one. And that's it. Actually, I have a tracker blocker installed, but this is a share button, so you can share content items on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. This is just a simple, post a URL to the website and create a new, what's it called, entry or whatever. And yeah, so you can. There are also some social aspects as well outside of the website itself. So if we go back to the admin, because I wanted to show you something interesting. Funny thing is that, so right now, if you have a shape, you can display it on an editor group, or actually a shape group. It can be either display or edit. And at some point in the development process, we thought that we needed to display a shape on multiple groups at the same time. Funny thing is that I didn't find an example right now. It's probably we didn't need it right now, but we solved that problem. So just a little detour before that. One interesting thing about Orchard or actually the admin UI is something I found out a long time ago. But if you go to settings, what happens is that basically you are editing the site content item. So when you install Orchard, and it relates to Sebastian's question from yesterday, when you create an Orchard installation, the first content item created is going to be the site itself, and the second one is the user who are actually performing the installation. So when you go to the settings, in this case, what happens is that you are editing the site content item, and these are all different editor groups. So let's say I have the feed settings here. This is just a very simple text field. You can say which index to use for the posting search on the feed. But let's say I have the crazy idea that I want to display it on more than one editor groups. So I will just go here. We have a huge placement. It looks readable. So as you can see, there's this shape, parts, feed settings, edit, and display it on the first place of the content zone on the feed editor group. So this is the syntax to define that I want to display this shape on the feed editor group. So if you want to display it on the default editor group as well, which doesn't have a name, it's just an empty string, all you have to do is say at feed. So this will mean that display it on the default editor group and display it on the feed. So just to make sure that it's working, I will refresh, and it will be still displayed here, but I can go back to the settings homepage, and it will also be displayed here as well. So you can do that with editors and the displays. What do you think? Questions? Maybe Sebastian has a question.
How do you specify different positions per group?
You can't. Right now you can't. So it's always the same. Or actually, well, food for thought. We haven't thought about that, but yeah, probably we should make it so that you can define different positions for each of these groups. That's a good idea. So right now, this is an orchard mod inside the MediaKitty solution, so we haven't contributed it back because we haven't shown it anywhere because it's still in testing. It looks all right. We had to modify, some very, very basic stuff in Orchard regarding shape display and shape management, but the change is not that crucial. And it works all right. So, and if I want to display it on another one, like I don't know, search, I can do that as well. So I just say add feed, add search, so it will mean that display it on the default one, the feed and the search. So if I go to search, I will see that this is displayed here as well. So the website is still in development. We have some work in progress code that is not deployed to the website right now, but you can always go to mediakitty.com and basically on the homepage you will see the same stuff as I just showed you. But still in kind of development and improvements. But the most important parts are already there. New users are coming in, and the old users are also coming in from the old site, creating a lot of postings. So it has a nice traffic. I think that's all I wanted to show you. Or that's pretty much it. So in the next part of this session, Zoltán is going to talk about the before and after part of MediaKitty. So
Not the before and after party, because you had that yesterday. So sorry, but I did an F5 on. Yeah, it's always complicated. All right, cool. So Benedek talked about what's the application itself, but we all know that there is more than just application development to software development, because there is something before and there is something after. What's before, in our case, was, of course, specification and requirements, gathering and everything, but also the migration of the legacy data. Because as Benedek explained, we had a very old website with a very old DB, full of data, and we needed to move it over. So we have done that also with Orchard. I will show you the code as well. And furthermore, once the application is done, more or less, or we have so many bugs that we are not ashamed to publish it, we publish it, and we have to operate it. And this is actually an application which we didn't just develop, but we also operate. So the client is not technical. They are a media agency. They also want to get the site maintained and if necessary, scale it up, fix bugs, if there is an incident, and take action and whatnot. So this is something actually what we also do. No, migrating. You have probably heard about application host, Orchard application host. Nick has mentioned application host, but that was a different application host. But with this stuff called Orchard application host, we can do something today, which will be also possible with Orchard vNext, but in vCurrent. And that is to use Orchard as a framework in any application. So basically, just as you write Orchard modules, you can write Orchard extensions that run inside a cloud service, I mean a cloud worker, or a desktop application, a WinForms application, or whatever, because you can use Orchard embedded as a framework. So let's see how it works. And now we will have some downtime again. So I'm waiting for the professionals to tell me when to start. No? It's always so complicated to switch screens and everything. Let me know when it's okay. No? Okay. But this is something else. The good food. But you will see later. This is a solution called... This is a solution called DataSync Daemon. This is a running joke. It's actually not a daemon, but a console application. You see, it's a program class. but
Zoom in.
oh, it's already zoomed in.
Like this, tools, options, because you don't want to delete everything every time you change the script. You want one. And then you can do 100% on 80.
You see, you always learn something new, and sometimes you learn during a session.
100%.
Wow.
100%.
Why is it not working?
There's a drop down on the left.
Bottom left. There. Okay. I've never used that. It's here since VS 2013 or something very old. Anyway, so you have a console application here, but this console application is not just any console application that anybody can write, because this is something that Orchard developers can write. So what you have in the beginning here is just some configuration. Here we are actually setting up or initializing an Orchard application. And in the next lines, we have, we actually start the Orchard application and run some of our code. So here, what we have here is actually Orchard code. You also see that we have a service called datasync service that is actually injected here. And this is an Orchard service. So if we take a look at it, and again, I have the 100% here. If you take a look at it, this service is an Orchard service. It has all the dependency injection. Actually, if we take a look at the service in the background, but I mistakenly clicked F11. So if you take a look at the service interface, you see it's an I dependency. But still, this is a console application, so not a web application. And if we try to run it, you will see that it's a cute little console app. Here, we even have a menu. And if I hit it, now our service runs. So basically, even when we are not doing Orchard web application development, we are still doing Orchard development. And this is because we don't really know anything else. So it would be hard for us to learn. So let's apply our Orchard knowledge here. And even when we are writing such console apps, let's write Orchard. This is another window, so I won't go to the settings again, but thanks for explaining it, Sebastian. This is a more involved sample of the Orchard application host usage, by the way. I won't go into it because you can download the sample. We will show a lot of URLs in the end, by the way, so you will be able to take notes if you are interested. But anyway, here is a more involved example. We configure an Orchard application, blah, blah, blah. We load even extensions like normal modules, and blah, blah, blah. And then we have Orchard code again. So this is, again, Orchard code here. Services, we have logger, but still we are in a console app, so we can write to the console. Long story short, Orchard inside a console application. And this worked quite well. So basically what happens is that our console app takes the data from the legacy DB. It's just directly going to SQL. Then it calls some RESTful API endpoints on the new side. And that's how it transfers the data from the legacy DB to the new application. So that was the before, because we needed to transfer the data. But we also need to operate the application, of course. So that's the after part now. And on a side note, we also do that for something else, and this is about food. George, you may have heard about this because it's from LA, but probably it's all Chinese to you, and it actually is Chinese.
Delicious.
Yeah, it is, because this is a Chinese food and lifestyle website called Chaihuo from Los Angeles, and they are also using our Orchard operations as a service. Because what is Orchard operations as a service? It is basically our hosting suite and our Orchard operations know-how and technology and everything, and Azure apply to run your Orchard application. So what MediaKitty actually has is an Azure setup. And what I will show you is how a very generic Orchard setup, Orchard application setup inside Azure looks like. So if you want to run Orchard in Azure, all this basic stuff is probably good for you. Because what we have for MediaKitty, well, of course, we have a website. Of course, we have SQL DB. So this is Azure SQL, the SQL as a service. You don't have to care about the database and everything. And we also have application insights. I will show you that in a minute. But first, I need to reload my session. It's quite cool because with the Azure portal, you come here prepared, you open it up, but then it locks you out. Anyway, we have a website, it's called Web App now, inside Orchard, inside Azure that runs MediaKitty, and of course it also has a staging slot. So what we are looking at now is the staging side. You see it's it's an Azure Web App. It runs on the S2 tier, so that is the medium one with 2 cores and 3.5 gigabytes of RAM. Here. It also has some settings that we can swap out because we are talking about staging and live versions of the application. Sorry, not here. We talk about the staging and the production application. That also means that we have some application-specific settings that are specific to the staging slot. If we are talking about that, we have some connection strings here. So basically what happens is that all the connection strings we need to blob storage, to SQL, all of these are stored in the application settings in the Azure portal. So if we want to swap out the application to production, we don't have to change any configuration. We just hit swap, and it will be swapped out because in the live slot there are other connection strings active. And I already mentioned blob storage. We of course use blob storage. So this here is for the staging. Now, of course, we use blob storage for media because there is also already something built into Orchard to store media. But we also do use blob storage for search indexing. So all the leucine indices, because it's actually indices in the plural, all the leucine indices are stored in blob storage as well. You can see we have a media container here and a leucine container. Now the leucine container contains basically everything that you normally have under appdata/site/your site/indexes. But apparently it's empty in the staging side. Furthermore, we use application insights. Now, we have already heard a few talks about challenges about operations and measurements and stuff like that. Now, application insights is something in this topic because application insights is an Azure feature that's free to begin with, and it's basically something like New Relic, but a lot more basic. But it's application performance monitoring still, and logging and everything. So once it loads, we will see that we have gathered some telemetry data from our application. But let's try again. Yeah, who thinks that the new Azure portal is slower than the old one? It's slower than the old one. It's okay for everyone. It's just slow for me. You see, it's slow. Let's try again. Oh, sorry, it's not the portal, it's the blade. So the blades in the Azure portal are slow for me. So whom should I complain to? Site developers, all right. I will ask for an email address in the end. Anyway, what we will see here, once it loads, that we have some nice statistics, but it won't show you. We have some nice statistics about usage and requests and performance, so how long a request takes. Unfortunately, I couldn't really install the Azure portal on my local machine, so I need to use the internet connection for that. As it seems, it failed me. Yeah, by the way, you can actually run Azure on your local machine. It's called Azure Pack. If you have Windows Server, you can download it and install it, and you have Azure locally. Well, not exactly this, but still. So let's try again. In the meantime, this is the module that we use for it. It's free open source. You can download it. It's called Orchard Azure Application Insights. You just enable it and it runs. For indexing, we have the Orchard Azure Search Indexing module. And furthermore, but let's see if now we are lucky. No, we are not lucky. And furthermore, there is another module that we use called Orchard Recipe Remote Executor. And now this is really operations, so not hosting anymore, but operations. Because we also have continuous integration / continuous deployment set up in TeamCity for MediaKitty. And this uses Recipe Remote Executor. Because how does this work? When the developer commits something and pushes, this pull and build will build the application. When we want to do a deployment, we just hit run here at deploy. This will deploy the application and also fire off a request to the site and start a Recipe Remote Executor. This will execute a recipe remotely, as its name shows. So basically, this way you can automatically invoke a recipe execution or a recipe import on a remote site. We use this to deploy, well, not the content changes, but rather configuration changes to the app. And when you are content with it in staging, because this deploys to staging, then you can hit swap website slots. Now, this will not just run the swap operation in Azure Web Apps, but this will also switch some configurations. So actually, every time we change some configuration in the web app, we change it in the staging side, not on the live side, because this swap will also swap out configurations. This is not how the default swap works. Well, there are sticky configs, but that's something just loosely related. Furthermore, and this swap will also fire off a recipe remote executor request. So if you find yourself doing something in staging by hand and doing something in the production application by hand, like adding some content and whatever, or even importing recipes, now Recipe Remote Executor can be used to automate all this. And by the way, we also have a replace staging database. This is just replacing the staging database with the live database, because of course staging and live have two different databases. And Application Insight still hasn't loaded, so I won't talk about that. But you can see it in action on your Azure portal. Probably it will load for you. Apparently, we have some clouds here. So to wrap up, I will again venture into the waters of switching screens. Yeah? Everything okay? No? 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 No, no, no. Now it's good. So basically, this was how we developed MediaKitty, what we developed, a few tips on how to developing it. We have shown how to migrate legacy data from a legacy website to a new Orchard application by still using Orchard. So you don't have to leave Orchard, and you can use still the same modules, still the same services. And we have seen what Azure setup we used there. Here we have a lot of URLs. So if you want to check out either of the modules we have talked about, it's all open source up there. So thanks for the attention, and if you have any questions, just shoot.
I have a question. How do you switch screens on a laptop?
FN F4.
Yeah.
What?
FN F4. FN
Oh, virtual.
and the fourth function.
You have also learned something?
Okay, you show me something. Okay, you show me.
I hope you have more questions than that.
I see you got Coplex up there. Are you planning to move to GitHub?
Very good question. Yes, code. Codeplex is crapping on us
Yeah.
just right now. We started to migrate over to GitHub. So we have shown our service called Git HG Mirror that automatically mirrors Git and Mercury repositories. Yeah, we started to do that because, but we have like 70 repositories, so it will take some time. These are still on Codeplex, but eventually they will be moved to GitHub and Bitbucket, so still Mercurial and Git repositories will remain.
If you have questions on Codeplex, we can ask. I'm sure Martin can pull strings and everything.
I used to look after Codeplex a while ago. I forgot to mention that.
But Mercurial push is now currently totally broken.
I also have an open question on the devs, and they haven't answered. Oh, no, sorry.
I've seen you had the staging environment on Azure, and I guess also, not sure, development environment also in Azure, or this is local. I'm curious if you had challenges or to integrate all the environments in Azure or the automatic deployment. I've seen you had Team City, not the Visual
That's
Studio
right.
Online, and
Yeah, so basically this separating a staging and production environment and deploying the staging is something we did before Azure Web Apps. Back then we had a virtual machine and I set up with 2 separate websites, and we had PowerShell scripts basically driving all this process. Now when Azure websites was introduced, they supported 1 additional site slot, and now it supports more. Right now, our processes are working with 2 environments, but with a little, configuration change, with a little change in the scripts, because we still have PowerShell scripts running from TeamCity because we do a lot of custom stuff. We can extend it to work with any number of environments.
But development still happens locally, of course.
Yeah.
And here we just needed 2 environment because it's not a so involved release process. It's just 1 staging here.
For when you guys were showing the Azure Web App configuration settings on Azure, are you bypassing the settings.txt to connect to the database and using the Azure Web App settings there? For a database connection string?
Yeah, in some cases we do. So in the hosting suite we have a module to do that. So it reads the connection strings from the database. So that's 1 central location and that's it. In case of MediaKitty, we still have settings.txt, but we do some special kind of magic in the background, and basically it does the same. So we are not specifically relying on a settings.txt. We still use Azure, but it's a bit different.
You just said we read connection strings from the database. I assume you meant the settings from the Azure settings.
Yeah, there is. You are very sharp, Sebastian.
But there is also database version of the connection string?
There is a root connection string for this database, and all the other data, including connection strings for all the tenants, will be then read from the database. So you have 1 connection string stored in the Azure portal. All the others are then in the
So
database.
why not store the connection strings as app settings in the dashboard?
Because
Why
we
use the
have
database?
If you have just 1 site, that's fine, and that's what we do. But if you have hundreds,
100 settings?
yeah,
No?
it's not very
Yeah, but it
convenient
doesn't
either.
scale. You need to store it in 1 central location. So, for example, there are examples to storing it in blob storage. We store it in database.
Okay.
Sebastian is not convinced.
I think he is. He just doesn't let me do it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks.